Hello. Good
Hello.
evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. I'm I'm Jeff,
And
and
I'm Greg.
we're here to give you the hi hat.
We're
We're
also
supposed
here
to
to pump you up.
we're supposed to say that together. You always miss it.
Uh,
I think people are going to start to believe that I'm the one that wants to give everybody the hi hat, and you're just going along with it because I'm the one who always says it.
well, I'm letting you get the limelight. You're
Yeah,
the,
okay.
you know, it's
hmm
it's it's okay.
Just like the old days.
There's my cat.
Uh, all
What's
right.
going on? What is the good word? What is the good word today?
Just, same old, some work and stuff, and just some aggravating stuff around the house that I just don't want to. I'm tired of talking about it. I don't even want to get into it, but you know what I mean.
Yes, I do.
But
And I'm just sitting here forcing you to relive your your frustrating day.
yeah, I'm looking forward for my kind of a semi hometown redneck vacation this weekend. Going to stay up with some of Michelle's family up in Lake Gaston, up in Bracy, Virginia, close to the Kerr Dam side. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm
Speak.
really looking forward to that.
Speaking of back home, did you, to be for sure, y'all, you, you saw in the news about the tornado that came through just north of you?
North of Roanoke Rapids?
No, 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 just north of, like, it started, like, west of Nashville. They're
Oh,
estimating, they're estimating it was like an EF3. Started just west of
good
Nashville,
Lord.
North Carolina. And they're estimating that it didn't stop until just before Scotland Neck. So it stretched like three counties.
Good Lord.
Yeah, no, yeah, Jan was, she sent me some pictures of it, and like, Whitaker's and Rocky Mount, um, where the
hmm
Pfizer plant is, where the old Abbott labs used to be. You know
Oh,
what I'm
of
talking about?
course. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that
hmm
heavy damage. I mean, it hit that.
Good Lord. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and
can see that right off of I-95, can't you?
yeah, I mean,
That plant.
it actually crossed 95, and they had to shut that down for a while. Crossed
Wow. That's
64.
insanity.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of
Yeah.
any. Thoughts and
Yeah.
prayers are out to everybody. Um,
Yeah, that's our
that's
old stomping ground. I've still got a lot of friends and family. I've actually got a cousin that lives in Scotland Neck, so I gotta check in on that after the show for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I haven't
it
watched
was
any
pretty bad.
news or TV or anything.
Oh, I didn't know about it either until, I mean, Jan's happened to see it on Facebook, and she's like, "Oh, look at this," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
Mm,
So,
mm.
hope. I mean, like I said, thoughts and prayers to everybody back home. Hopefully
Yeah,
they're okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Oh, one thing I just want to bring up real quickly because it was related to, and I'm just gonna just mention it because it's related to a past episode. But I saw some news this week on the more on the UAP or UFO phenomenon or whatever. There's some pretty credible on record testimony of a few people in the Air Force and military and um, I guess Secret Service, or for lack of a better word, that have all testified that the United States is in indeed possession of non-human aircraft. Um, and so now a bunch of senators have gone on and um, basically called for a congressional hearing on the matter. So just an update. on where that story is trending. It just, however you feel about it or what side of the fence you're on about it, it's
Now,
still
what do you
interesting nonetheless.
what do you think? Do you think this is just a blip, a distraction? What do you think? I mean, do you think there's anything that's going to be like a revelation that's going to come from these things, like the congressional hearings or anything like that, or is it just going to be the
Well,
same
I don't
fun and
know. I
games they
mean,
do every so often?
I think it's just like anything else. It's a power grab. It really. I mean, uh, God rest his soul. Rush Limbaugh used to always say, follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever has like superior technology to everybody else on earth has, power and influence over everybody else. So I just think it's going to be a public power grab now as opposed to one privately that was held by a few figures and organizations behind closed doors for all these years. But then again, it could all be bullshit. So,
True.
it's just still interesting to follow, you just imagine the possibilities if it's like truly like a fact or real, what the fuck, and but if not, yeah, I'm an idiot. So either way, it's like mind bending. Either you're a complete idiot or oh my God, I have to reconsider my entire belief structure to some degree. You know what I mean?
And going
It's
and going back to that conversation, like my belief is like that's pretty conceited to think that we are the only form of life in this whole universe. You know, somebody
hmm
out there. There's got to be life somewhere out there, and if you don't believe that they happen to come this way, I think that's pretty. I don't know, conceited to think that we're the only ones that are breathing and have life and you know have iPods and whatnot. So, um,
Yeah. You know what? Not to cut you off or
oh
anything,
no
man,
no
but
no, I know
that's too,
that was just an update. That was supposed to be just an update, but
yeah,
before we go down that
absolutely.
rabbit
And I
hole,
mean, it's just I'm just not down for talking about any heavy shit tonight at all. I mean, I just, I don't want to. I've been talking about serious stuff all day. I'm too old to be like into the twilight time of night. I'm
right?
like, no, I
No,
don't
that's
want to hear
okay.
about the faucet. You know what I'm saying? I'm
I can tell
becoming
you,
a cranky old man.
I can tell you about my trip to
I
Chicago.
don't want to hear it tomorrow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. Anything happening with you?
Actually, yeah, Jan and
Now
I,
you're a psychic on top of it.
Jan and I just got back from Chicago. We spent the weekend up there. That was very nice, very good. We
hmm
ate too much. We walked around a lot. We got to see the main points were the Field Museum and the Cubs game.
Yep.
And if you want to go to a major league sports game, you better bring some cash with you, or bring some money with you.
Oh yeah, I know.
What was it? I think, and just to you know, gosh, what do we got? All right, check it. We got two hot dogs and like two beers, a
Well,
pretzel,
yeah, you
and
got
two
it.
fries, and it was like $75 just
Well,
for
what?
yeah, $75.
Well, I mean, Chicago is probably the most inflated place in the world. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
And it wasn't even like a big specialty Chicago dog type thing. It was just a plain hot dog in a bun. So I mean, but it's part of the
Mhm.
experience, and we had saved up for this, so I mean, but I
Oh, I
had a
know.
blast.
Yeah,
You
I
put
could hear my dad, getting to $75, sir. Do what?
and if you
You can
combine,
keep it. You can keep it. Yeah, forget it. You can keep it.
oh, my dad would like say, "Good God Almighty!" So, but yeah, if you
hmm
combine that with the price of the tickets, all in all, that day was about a $300 excursion, but the seats were great.
Yeah.
You saw the pictures, right? I sent you the
Hmm.
pictures. Yeah, that was. I mean, we had some really good seats that were reasonably priced, and so it was, no obstructions. I got, you could see the whole field, but you were just close enough where I, I actually got to see one of the Boston Red Sox hitters. His facial expression was so pissed because he got called out on strike three, and he just slammed his helmet down, and he just, you know, you could you could read lips from where I was sitting, and it, it was definitely rated R. I will tell you that much.
No.
But
Yeah,
we
I've been to Wrigley Field.
have you?
Yeah, I've been there. I've been to Chicago a couple times, and I was, I saw a concert there. I actually stood on the field.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Hmm.
Now, from where
You
we
know,
were,
Pearl Jam played there.
did you see Pearl Jam or did you see somebody else?
Yeah.
Oh, so you got to see Pearl Jam at Wrigley Field.
That was cool.
That was cool. I have yet to. I saw. I think I saw like the last three songs of their act at Lollapalooza, and
Oh yeah, I was with you there. That
yeah,
was
you were with me there. I
some
was I
more
was
stories
pissed.
from the old days.
Mm. I
I
was
get it.
pissed.
I just want to tell this story before I forget about it
No,
because
go
we
for
were
it, man.
such idiots, kids. We were one of the reasons we were late for Lollapalooza and missing half of Pearl Jam's act. Um, we didn't have a real cooler, so we went and bought styrofoam coolers from Food Line, and we packed the shit out of them with ice and beer. I mean, it was packed to the gill. And we went to pick them up to put them in the car, and the bottom just fell out of
But the real reason why we were late was because the
them.
the woman
It
I
was,
was dating, the girl I was dating at the time,
we'll
you got to
call her
think,
Mrs. M.
yeah, well, and so knowing that this was going to be an all-day outdoor concert, for some reason she thought that she needed to put on like do her hair and do makeup, and she spent like an hour plus getting quote unquote getting ready, and I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, by the time we get there, fight the traffic to get in, then go into the venue. And I was just like, I was so pissed because I think Pearl Jam was what, the second act that day?
Yeah,
And
we were so shocked that they would come on because they were like the hottest thing going at the time. We
yeah,
thought for sure that they would be, the last or second to last, like at least into the night before they came on. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Or the evening, the twilight at least.
And so I wanted to get I wanted to get my money. So I wanted to get there when the first act played the first song and stay the whole way through. But by the time she got ready, and we left and we fought the traffic and we got in. We had missed the. I don't even know who the first act was. We missed the completely missed the first act, and at least half of Pearl Jam, which was the second act. And I was so
Hmm.
pissed the rest of the day.
Yeah, I remember when we walked over the hill to the, at Walnut Creek. It's just like a grassy lawn, and you walk over a hill, and then you can see everything down to the stage. And by the time we got there, like Eddie was already climbing around in the rafters.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
but I mean,
it's like,
overall, it was a good. I mean, it was a great show, and I did, and I had a good time. But out that having not with Pearl Jam having such a storied career as they have, I've only seen like maybe three or four songs live, and now that I'm old and got responsibilities and stuff, it's harder to do that.
you didn't go with you didn't go with us. That group of us that remember when Pearl Jam was having that fight with Ticketmaster, and they were playing
Yeah.
alternative venues, and they came and they played at the dude, it was in Charlotte, like a fairground in Charlotte or
I
something like
know.
that. You
No.
didn't go with us, that group with us?
Nope.
That's crazy.
Nope. 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 And I didn't go to the one that was in, what was it, Darlington, where they
There
had
was one
Metallica.
Rockingham, but that was a
Oh, Rockingham.
Lollapalooza.
That's what it was. Yeah, not Darlington, but Rockingham. No,
Yeah, but
by
Pearl
that
Jam
time,
wasn't there. That was Rage Against the Machine and Metallica.
Metallica.
Uh, dude,
Well, see,
was it was headlining that one? Who else was there? Soundgarden was there too, I think, or it was that band would have. I can't remember.
see,
That was a
here's
long time. I have to look that card back up.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. The one in Rockingham was the second time Rage had played there. I had played in Lollapalooza. The first time was the year you and I didn't go. I think it was like maybe the second or third year of Lollapalooza. And we kind of looked at the
Hmm.
lineup. We looked at the lineup and we're like, we don't know any of these bands. There's nobody here that really we knew at the time. And then that, the dates had passed. And like a month later, you come running up and you're like, you've got to hear these two bands. And it was Tool and Rage Against the Machine. And then you pop them into the
Hmm.
CD player, and my mind was blown by both of them. I'm like, holy fuck! Oh, I know. The only
Hmm.
act that we may have wanted to see was Alice in Chains, but Rage played with them, and Tool played with them. I think it was Tool, but you pop those two Tool and Rage in, and I'm like, my mind was like blown, and then I realized and say, wait a minute, didn't they just play Lollapalooza like a couple of weeks ago? And you're like, yeah. And
Hmm.
I'm like, what the fuck? You could have gone and seen them,
Hmm.
you know. But that was like an opportunity miss. But we did end up seeing Tool at the oh god, what was that place?
It was the Ritz.
The Ritz. That's
I
what it
think
was.
it's the Ritz again, and it's the Ritz again now. I think. Hunter, can you confirm that is the Ritz, the new Ritz now?
Yes. Give me 1 second.
Yep. But that's a cool venue, and if you're not
It
familiar with
was.
it, I mean, it's like a perfect two-level cube,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Um, I would say it would hold probably we'd say about 2,000. Is that? Nah, probably not that
No,
much. About 1,500.
if that.
Maybe a
I mean,
thousand.
yeah. I was
I would
thinking
say
more
Thousand.
along
1,000
the.
pushing it.
I was thinking
Yeah.
more along the lines
Yeah,
of like
it's
300 to 400.
okay. Dad nailed it. 1,200 square foot. It is 2,000 guests is capacity. It started in the 70s as a disco club, and then evolved into a live performance club after that. But it's
Yeah.
the same one that still is performed in today.
I mean, you got the balconies if you can get there early and get your spot solidified. And it was the greatest place because, it wasn't like a club, like a bar,
Hmm.
but if there was a good up and coming band that was out on their first tour and you knew it, you could catch them there.
Yeah.
And we caught so many like up and coming bands back in the grunge era at that place.
Well, we caught Tool
Um,
there.
Tool being one of them. Absolutely. I mean, and now looking back on it 30 years later, if that's probably about right.
Yeah.
Um, as obscure and as much of a recluse that Tool have become, at least as a band. I mean, they hardly ever toured in their entire career. You know what I mean? And so to have seen them in a live show
Yes.
is something that very few people have.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's just like, if you were able or lucky enough to have seen My Chemical Romance. I don't know if you like them or not, but
Okay.
they were only around for 8 or 10 years. Yeah, but I'm saying, of that time period, it was probably the hottest band around. It was just
Right.
like somebody's, Nirvana to some degree. You know what I mean? I think that band probably did a good job as a rock band of defining that era. I mean, Hunter can chime in on that if he wants to or not. I don't know, but I don't think anybody truly does. But I think they were one of the defining bands of that era, at least in the rock genre.
And here's something, an
He has no
observation I
comment.
had. Uh, I see a lot of, I guess, younger people, like in their 20s, maybe early 30s, and I don't know what quite to make of it. I see a lot of them wearing the Nirvana shirts, and I'm not
Hmm.
sure if they're like discovering them, or is it if it's just a nostalgic type of timepiece from that era,
I
and that's the reason
I
why
don't
I'm
know,
wearing it.
dude. I mean,
But I see a lot of young
from
people
from
wearing
what I was, you know, not saying that I'm like no musical genius or anything, but I was in a band and followed that stuff pretty closely. And I would, from the people I've talked to that are younger and are really into music, I mean, Nirvana to those guys are like their
Zeppelin
generation,
to us.
what
But it's like to
Led
us.
Zeppelin was to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can dig that. I really can.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
because for that short period of time, I mean, that whole Seattle scene just ruled the roost for about, I'd say about, what do you think, about maybe 6 7 years, and
Yeah.
then
I think
and
it
then
went on
ramping up.
still. It was still culty and like cliquish cool. It
Yeah.
was kind of hipster cool there for a little while too. So I'd say about a decade. Yeah. I was so hard for me to let go of my flannel
Oh,
and my, but I never stopped wearing shorts everywhere.
that's
Yeah.
and that in
Uh,
we were the yes, you and I were the ones standing in line at the record exchange, waiting till midnight for Pearl Jam's second
hmm.
album, Versus, to come out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, we stood in line and waited for that, and it was worth it. It was.
No, I think that was for
It was,
um
it was
the
for
one I like so much, Vitology.
hmm, I thought it was Versus, but it could have been Vitology.
It was probably, it was probably both of them. If I'm,
It could very well have been,
you
because
know,
Versus was such a great
yeah,
follow
I
up.
do. Yeah, I'll say this about Pearl Jam, Nirvana, and all that. I can remember back in the day because like everybody liked Nirvana. I mean, I loved Nirvana back in the day too, but you know, being kind of like an outsider, or I'm not saying an outsider, but like, I always liked the independent movies and the things that not everybody loves, but everybody was so into Nirvana. It was kind of like Guns N' Roses when they were so hot. It's like, God, everybody's listening to Guns N' Roses. You know what I mean? It was kind of the deal. And I was like, it's just pop rock and it won't last. I remember I went through a period of saying that, you know, and I said, Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains will be the music that lives on, and I got to tell you, I mean, 9 times out of 10 now today, like if a Pearl Jam song comes on that I don't really like, or Alice song comes on I don't really like, I'll turn it off. But I mean, Nirvana music, I mean, I love it all more than I did back then. I
Mhm.
mean, it's so much in it as far as raw energy, and it just taps into this nerve. And I don't know what it is. When I listen to Nirvana music, I feel like I'm like 24 years old. I don't know what it is about that music, and it jacks me up. And you can listen to it. There's something about, even though Nirvana is like, it's heavy. I mean, there's some like really heavy stuff, but the majority of it's kind of got a nice little mellow roar to it than it does, you know, something that's going to just be banging around in your head like a lot of the other bands did. You know what I mean? There's a rhythm, like a dull rhythm about Nirvana's music that's like so pleasing.
Now, would you categorize Nirvana in a parallel way to the Ramones, a generation before? Like in especially with their
Oh
sound.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, you know, in retrospect, I was a complete idiot. I mean, because Nirvana was the band of our era. Man. There wasn't anybody even close. I mean, they made, set, defined, and lived out the whole era and generation of that. There was not even anybody remotely close, in my opinion. And I mean,
And
I love the Ramones. I mean,
oh, I do too. I like them.
as yeah, as I've gotten older, and you know, I listen to everything. I listen to jazz, classical, some you know, country. I can't listen to any new country hardly, but you know, the classic stuff I do, and you know, rock and roll, heavy metal, a little bit. I can get my dose of Metallica in. I love the And Justice for All album. I'll get one in. The song one. I don't know if you remember that song. Never
Oh
mind.
yes,
But I
yeah,
can get
I
one or
do.
two songs in, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get this shit off. I can't take it. And I listen to a lot of folk music now. Like I mean, I don't mean just like Bob Dylan, which I do listen to Bob Dylan, but I'm talking about even like the contemporary guys that have done this fusion between like folk and country and like jazz, and even brought in some like Indian feel at times. And that's really rhythmic, pleasing sounds. You know, I just love to hear that strum on the guitar.
Yeah, and with me, I've done the same thing except like bluegrass. I mean, I can
Hmm.
listen to bluegrass just as much as I can go back in time and listen to the Nirvanas and the Soundgardens and the STPs and whatnot. And I mean, I it just kind of it calms me down. You know, it's a
Hmm.
the
I know
songwriting
exactly.
is so much better from that genre than most anything now. Um, the storytelling aspect of it. Um, I enjoy listening to a story set to music, which is what I think like bluegrass and folk music is. You still there?
I hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm
you,
like,
it looked
I'm
like it
sorry.
looked
And
like
my
it looked
screen.
like you were chasing something there, and I said, ground control to Major Tom. Hello. I'm not
Ah,
listening to this.
it's a lot. I'm like a cat. I got distracted in my screen of myself. I see this red light up in the top left hand corner, and I was just looking to see if it was up there, but it's not. It's okay. I'll be all right. It's been a long day and a long
Yeah.
week, but look, I was gonna. Hey, let's go back and talk some more about your trip to Chicago
Yeah.
because you mentioned the places that you went, the highlights. I mean, obviously we know Wrigley Field, but what was the other places you said you went?
The Field Museum. Um,
Yeah, what's I'm not familiar with that. What's there?
Actually, it was a lot of different exhibits. It's more of a lot of nature stuff. There was a lot of nature stuff in there. There was an exhibit that was pretty interesting. It had to do with how uh, different societies, different cultures handled death. And essentially, what is death? The questions you ask. Say, where do do I have a soul? Where do I go when I die? Is that it? Um, and also
That
how
sounds like a
different.
ton of fun.
Yeah, it was. It was. I would say it.
I'm joking. Go ahead.
It was. Nothing brings. Nothing makes your day brighter than going to see an exhibit about death.
Contemplating your own morality. Yep.
Exactly. Exactly. But it was definitely that was probably one of the more interesting ones. And
What's
they
it
also
have like any archaeology stuff too? Like,
tons of it.
oh yeah, okay.
From especially from like
So
everywhere from.
natural history.
Yeah, I mean everywhere from
Yeah.
basically the the Americas, so far as like the Native American like artifacts in history, Europe, Africa. Just about every continent is represented there. But no, it was
That's really cool.
you need to probably probably take a full day. And it did. It took us all afternoon to get to see. And there was about like a half a dozen different exhibits. Sorry, I'm especially thirsty today. Um,
No, it's not.
but yeah, it was very interesting. Uh, we One place we want to go back to that we didn't get at the art museum, which is just down the street from it a little bit. We're going to hit that one next time. We are going to take a second trip. Um, and also, trying to think. But so far as that, a lot of what we just spent quite a bit of time just walking around downtown, or as they put it, the Magnificent Mile.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and that's where we were, and that's where we tooled around a little bit, the majority of the time. I will say we did take the Chicago River runs straight through it, and we took a archaeological tour, a river tour of the architecture of the skyscrapers that are in downtown um, Chicago, and that was really interesting to hear the history. And it was, instead of trying to walk and see it, you had a guided tour. The river would take you just about, and you'll see just about every building that they had. And the pictures I
Wouldn't it,
sent you,
wouldn't it have been?
hmm?
I was gonna say, wouldn't it have been cool if Vince Vaughn was your tour guide? He's
That
like
was,
he's been like a tour guide in Chicago in like three different movies. It seems like to me.
yeah, yeah, that would have been cool. Mm. And this was, I mean, the river tour was a pure spur of the moment thing. We hadn't even considered that in our trip, and it was and I think it was the first day we got there, which was Thursday, and we just spur of the moment, and it turned out to be really cool and something we'll probably do again when we go back. And it just happened, if you do go to Chicago and take one of these river tours, the best time to take it, especially in the summertime, is like 7, 8 o'clock, because it's like about an hour and a half, 2 hour tour. And so you start out and you see all these skyscrapers in the setting sun in the daylight, but as you go through the tour and the sun goes down, you see the by the time you're done, the city is just in lights. All the buildings are in lights and stuff like that, and it turned out really, really nice. It was really picturesque, as it were. And like I said,
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I've
all
showed you the pictures. I mean, the pictures are. I mean, it doesn't really do it justice, but that was
it
really
did look pretty. All the dead bodies surfacing.
the river is green. It's like a,
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah,
Yeah, they
which is
dyed
probably
that
which is
color, I
probably the
think.
cleanest it's been in decades and decades. But
Yeah.
and then after we did the tour, then they got like a river walk, and they've got like a bunch of I don't want to say bars. I mean, but some watering holes. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And after we were done, we just walked down the river walk, got a beer and some snacks, and just sat there and just looked at the buildings for a couple of hours, and it was really nice. It was really nice. Um,
Yeah.
hmm,
I'm glad y'all had a good time. Like I was telling you, I mean, it looked like y'all did from the pictures you sent, and I know how hard you work, and I know you needed the break, and I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. And before we end tonight, I just wanted to share one quick story with you about Chicago. This is from back in our freaking frack days. I don't, you remember our old producer Ron, right?
I do.
And and somehow or another like convinced me and going with him to meet with some of the like investors and stuff up in Chicago at this. It was a trade show, and then he was meeting all these people and advertisers and all kinds of stuff. And I was there for 3 days, and we were in this convention center all during the day. So I never saw Chicago in daylight, anything. But one quick thing, one night Ron said he was going to take me out for an authentic Chicago experience, and we got in the cab, and he told the cab driver, he goes, I want to take my man here to see some authentic Chicago blues because he loves blues music, which I did. And the guy looked at him, he goes, do you really mean that, or do you want to go to the touristy place? He goes, no, authentic blues. So he said, all right. And so he took off driving, and we drove. It was like 25 miles outside of town. And even Ron was like starting to get nervous. And like the cab drivers, the cab driver said, all right. He said, it's about 8 o'clock right now. He said, y'all just go in there and tell him that I sent you. I forgot what he said his name was. He said, you guys are going to be cool until about 10 o'clock, and then y'all need to get out of there. He said, don't leave that place, and don't be walking around, and don't talk to nobody. But we went in there, and they were like the first when we sat down at the table and we were just playing it cool, and they were like the waitress comes over and was like, what do y'all want, I mean, and we told him like, Sugar, that was the cab driver's name, Sugar. He said
Okay.
Sugar told send us in here, he told, and she goes, oh, okay, what y'all want, the
Yeah.
whole attitude changed. And we sat
That
there,
was like
and I
the
mean,
code word,
these, yeah, and it was like, seriously, this place was like an old drugstore, and they had gone in and put a bunch of tables, like little circle tables, like a nightclub. And then they had gone up into one corner and just like with like 2x4s and some plywood built a platform big enough to put a jazz band on. And one by one, they're like different acts to get up there and play. Oh, they had the piano too. I mean, it was fantastic.
Sweet.
But Ron and I didn't leave at 10 o'clock. We left at probably about 9:40 because we didn't want to push it. We wanted to follow instructions that night. But I mean, it was great. But I mean, it was a true Chicago experience, and that's what we wanted.
Cool. Now,
Hmm.
when you were up there, did you? And I know the joke is coming. So here it goes. When you were in Chicago, did you happen to get a hot Italian beef sandwich?
No, I did not.
Next time you go, do it. It is awesome.
Okay.
We go to Port. We went to Portillo's and got a hot Italian beef sandwich, and it was. And they also have. I mean, you're doing all the culture stuff. I'm doing all the edible stuff. So
No, I remember. I ate nothing but sausages the whole time I was there. I love Polish sausage and kibosh. I mean, that's all I ate. It was hot dogs and sausages. The whole time I'm there, that's all I eat. Yep.
and
And the
when
street vendors are awesome.
see we didn't well see the Magnificent Mile in the downtown. It's touristy, but it's also like wealthy. I mean, there's no way you can.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to make some mega bucks to live down there. But at the Portillo's, when you're done with your hot beef sandwich, go up to the other counter and ask for a chocolate cake shake. And that's
Mm.
exactly what it is. They take a huge piece of chocolate cake and they throw it into a milkshake, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
I bet it is.
It was.
That probably put me straight into a coma.
It
Oh, you'd be so proud of me.
would.
What I had for lunch today, you wouldn't believe it. I had a apple, an orange, and a banana, and some strawberries and some blueberries. That's what I had for lunch today.
Cool
Oh, I
beans.
didn't eat the banana. My bad. I was full.
Now, was this part of a larger like a? Are we
I just take all this stuff to work and then never eat it because it's so hot. And I don't ever want to go anywhere because I'm so into my work. So I just said, I'm just gonna bring the stuff I know I can eat and want to eat. So I
And so
went out
that,
last night and bought a shit ton of fruit.
yeah, and that's what I mean. I do the same thing. Where I work, actually has a cafeteria, but it's so expensive, and I get to the point in life, it's just not good. I don't feel good when I
Hmm.
to eat like I used to back when I was younger. So I just pack my lunch, and I eat
Hmm.
whatever's in my bag that day, and that's it.
Yeah, I get my body is like tells me, it speaks to me all the time and tells me what
Hmm.
I need. Like Michelle and I both were like, we need cabbage. It's like whenever we need to get some butter beans because we're both kind of have a little iron deficiencies, and we'll both feel it, and like we'll like crave this stuff that's higher in iron. It's really weird
It is.
how you're more in tune with your body as you get older.
And also, and with me, and I'm sure with you, when I eat something that I really shouldn't have or overindulge, my body now more than ever says, "No, you're gonna pay for that later, or you're gonna pay for that now."
Hmm.
And I just, bleh. That's how I just sort of, bleh. But
Yeah, I did that with an ice cream sandwich last night, right before I went to bed, and I looked at it. I was like, I'm gonna eat you, and then I was like, I don't. It's midnight. Why am I gonna eat that now? And I put it back, and went to bed.
there you
So.
go, self
Hmm.
control.
I was
Yeah,
like, what? Yeah, what good is that gonna do you? I mean, we're enjoying. You're half asleep. I mean, you're just gonna slobber all over it. You know what I mean?
that
What? What?
and it's probably you're probably most times when we eat like that, it's because we're bored, or
Yeah,
you think it's
exactly.
something that you want, and it's really not. Most times we just eat when we're bored. I say, "Oh, I'm bored. What's in the
If you're gonna,
fridge?"
I'm like, if I'm gonna eat like that, I'm gonna eat that for breakfast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I can burn it off during the day. Eat a big banana split for breakfast. That's what I'm gonna start doing.
But don't eat
I'm
the banana.
5,000 calories behind at the start of the day.
Eat around the banana. That just has
Oh,
nutrients.
yeah. Why are you so sluggish today, Jeff? Oh, ain't good. I had a big breakfast. I don't know.
I had a fruit salad of something with whipped cream and bananas. I don't know.
Maybe it was the 3 gallons of ice cream. Maybe that had something to do with it.
Mm,
Oh
mm.
my Lord. Well, look, man, we're already into it really heavy. I know we had planned to sort of talk about some stuff from the old days, and we had pre-planned some things we were going to talk about that. But
The
let's save
beauty of
that for
this
the
life
next one.
is we just go wherever we want to go.
That's right. I think we should plan less. It's always worked for me in the past.
Exactly. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. All right. But as always, we want to thank everyone for listening.
Wait. Is it
Um,
time to go
our
already?
It is. We're
Damn it!
wrapping it up. I know it goes
I
by
have a fruit.
fast. If we want to keep going, just imagine how enthralled our audience is right now. They're going, "What the fuck? The show's over?" So then we're gonna leave them wanting more. That
Mm.
if you remember from show business, that's what you do. You don't get it all in one. You leave them wanting more, so they come back.
That's right. Producer Ron has taught us well.
That's right. But for our ever increasingly growing audience, we're just humbled. We want to thank all of you so much for your likes, your clicks, and your comments. Keep them coming. Tell your friends about it. Share with friends and family. Just get the word out about Greg and Jeff Get the Hi Hat, and also our producer Hunter's shows, um, which are Finding New Films. There he is. You, Hunter, plug yourself since you're here.
Ooh,
Finding new
not very
Mondays you
films.
nice.
can watch F and F something. What? plug myself. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
that
like, what
wasn't
the
very
hell?
nice.
Um,
Oh, wait a minute.
Plug you, Hunter.
it was, yeah,
I'm ready.
that's insane. Anyway, yeah, F
Go
and F,
plug yourself.
F and F on Mondays. You can check that out. That's me solo reviewing movies. I just changed the format so it's a little bit choppier and like more straight to the point. Fridays is finding new films, and then that's basically movie reviews with a friend. Um, to put it in a quick way, and then the basement tapes. We have a new podcast. It's pretty similar to this one, honestly, but it's just me and Trevor. So that comes out like every other week ish.
I
Um,
highly recommend it. Trevor and Hunter together are hilarious.
Yeah.
yeah, so that won't come out. It'll have already come out when this comes out. So go watch the second episode.
Thanks,
That's it.
bro. Oh, by the way,
Oh, and
it's
follow
Hunter's
us all on
birthday.
Instagram.
Yeah, and it's Hunter's birthday on Friday. So everybody go on social media and everywhere and wish Hunter a happy birthday.
That guy right there.
Thank you.
That guy there. What has one
Yeah,
son and is celebrating a birthday? That guy right there. I'm sorry.
that's good.
Oh,
Um,
and Greg just had a birthday too, like 2 weeks ago. Did
Yeah.
we tell you happy birthday? Okay. God, I was like, ooh, that would have sucked. He would have probably been pouting after the show. He
I
just started
at
crying.
this age, I'm starting to be happy. I just made it through another year. But
Yeah,
thank you. And yours is next month,
yeah,
sir.
heard that. No, I've stopped having them.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's get out of here, folks. Good night, everybody.
We'll try better next time.